Hello everyone, I hope you all are doing well. Today we have a very special person with us. His name is Mr. Aryan. If I talk about his credibility, so he has won 7 hackathons and there is much more to talk about, honestly. So if you actually want to know more, then you can just go through his LinkedIn profile as well. Other than that, sir, the mic is all open. Anything that you would like to say about yourself, then you can just begin with the podcast.
Growth, consistency, idea, reality. It all begins at one point. Here. Want to know how the industry works or how to build yourself? Learn from experienced people from the industry. Subscribe to know more.
So, hey guys, I am Aryan Kyatham. I'm someone who loves building tech, which creates a lot of impact and is used by a lot of people. And I've been working with a lot of startups, built tech from scratch over there. And I've been winning a lot of hackathons. I've won more than 7 hackathons, and yeah, I love building tech and great products. Yeah, that's it about me.
All right, sir. So, can you just share your journey with us? And also, from starting in tech to holding multiple roles across various industries, right? So, how did each experience shape your career path? So, we would also like to understand that perspective.
So, I would begin with a simple word that is curiosity and interest. So, be it whatever field, let's say software engineering or in life in general, without these things, you won't be able to sustain or go longer or uh, be consistent. That's very important. So, I started off being very curious about a project which I wanted to build that was related to advertising or marketing offline billboards. So that curiosity got me into coding, so that I wanted to build that project out. So first I learned key for that we need face recognition and other stuff. So I got into Python. Then I started off exploring OpenCV, computer vision straight away. I got to YouTube and just started coding out. And then after learning somewhat about OpenCV library, that's a computer vision library, then I started building a lot of things like face recognition, age, gender detection, and whatnot. So then the curiosity of building a website. So everything was running on just a CMD terminal. Then I wanted that CMD terminal to go into a website and stuff. So then I discovered there's a thing called Flask where you deploy Python websites over there. So that's where the journey began of coding through curiosity basically. I wanted to build that project anyhow, and whatever came in between, like OpenCV, Python, and web development, everything, I just learned it, and machine learning too. And uh, that's why the curiosity is very important, and that's what got me into startups and stuff. So I used to post content and my work online, and that's how I got into startups. So I started my journey in a startup called RosiRoti.org. So there I was a sole developer over there. So that was the biggest advantage for me, I feel, because as a student, uh, I feel whenever you build something, whether it's a project or something, it's used by no one, literally no one. It's just a project, right? But when you go to real world, your code is used by 500 people, 1,000 people, like 5,000 people. So that's where the kick comes in, and that's the most amazing feeling for a developer when his lines of codes are being used by people and it's generating impact or creating a lot of impact in the user. So that's the most uh, inspiring thing for me personally to code. So I started off with Rosie Roti, where with I was a full developer over there, and I started working with Python and Django. I used backend as Django, and I used to do everything like starting from front end, back end, DevOps, deployment. So when requirements came, I started learning everything. It's not like I didn't know how to build A-level applications. Like if 10,000 users come together on a website, how to work it efficiently and without crashing and all those things. But, uh, the biggest advantage for me was getting into startup and building, and not only building tech, but also understanding the business requirement.
Hmm.
I am building this feature, how this feature is going to help the company either save time or save money. If it doesn't do this both, then it's a waste of time.
Hmm.
Whatever you do, it should save time as well as money or either both. So, so in a startup, I realize how important it is to generate money out of your code or save time out of your code.
Right.
So you need to understand the customer's requirement, the user's requirement, and then you should code it out. So I did not just get into the coding part. I spent more than 3 to 4 weeks understanding the whole business process, understanding the user's journey, how what's the problem he's facing. My startup was helping gig workers connect with the job seekers. So my task was to optimize the whole business operation. The gig worker is going through, like manually uploading the data, getting the payments, verifying the leads and whatnot. So I understood the whole problem of the user or gig worker, and then I analyzed this is it, and these are the priorities which needs to be solved, and then I got into the coding.
Hmm.
So that's very important, understanding what user needs. If I do something, if I build something that the user or customer doesn't like or doesn't need, then it's just waste of time of company as well as you, right? Then you need to be very clear about the requirements, about what the problem the customer or user is facing. So software engineering is not only writing code, right? You need to solve problems of people. So be it with tech or be it with anything, that's the most important part. So I started off with the business approach. Then I learned how to deploy Django using AWS, Elastic Beanstalk, EC2, and all those things. And then I also learned Flutter because we had a requirement of building mobile applications as well. So in a startup, that was my biggest benefit, that I was the only developer and started learning everything. Like I was literally working more than 12 hours a day just coding out, because that's what. So shuru mein it was very exciting for me because I write code and next day it gets shipped and is being used by people, and on the spot they tell this is not working, this is not going well, it should be in Hindi, what is this page, it is of no use, please change this. So everything was very dynamic and I was enjoying it a lot
Hmm.
because I was just a student and my code was not used by anyone. Just as I moved into a startup, everything becomes so dynamic. I was really having the best time. So that's where the learning grew, the curiosity, the interest of building tech which impacts people. That's the motto. That's the aim, basically. Yeah. So that's how I started.
We totally understand, and this is an incredible journey to hear about, honestly. And there is a lot that the students will actually learn from this podcast because a person carrying so much of experience, you'll be delivering something very genuine that we can't actually predict now. But at the end of this podcast, we'll be sure that okay, this podcast is something that is actually a gem, right? So, actually, what inspired you to explore opportunities across so many different sectors, right? If we talk about hackathons or entrepreneurship or AI.
So, uh, so I kept my focus on building projects and working for a startup itself. There was no thing called I will go explore entrepreneurship or anything. It just got aligned.
Hmm.
So there's a quote which I like. Ki when you put in a lot of hard work, then somewhat luck will help you achieve success. So everything came aligned as I was going ahead. So first it was getting an internship, then getting into a startup. Then my startup got into a startup accelerator, let's say a VC firm which invests money into startups.
Right.
So someone who doesn't know startup accelerator, it's like it's a firm which invests in multiple startups. So I got into there with help of my startup, Rosy.works. There I gained a lot of experience on how startups work. Like uh, I got to meet a lot of founders, how things work, and in and out of a startup, how to build MVPs, how to get users. So it's kind of mini MBA or mini YC kind of thing.
Right.
So I was there for 2.5 months in Goa, and there I learned everything about entrepreneurship. But And then our startup also got funding of 25 lakhs. So we built an MVP there itself in 2.5 months, and we got funded. Uh, and our startup got pivoted into Let's ZT.com, which is a premium catering service right now. So how, so the entrepreneurship journey started from here, where I got into Goa and it was startup accelerator. So that's where the network, the experience, and different point of view, right?
Right.
So there were two worlds for me. One is the engineering world where I meet my uh, engineering student friends, where everyone is like, we need to get a job, we need to do this, only a job point of view. Whereas when I go Goa, when I go to meet founders, so there the age difference is not that much. Even in Goa, there were people of age 20, 21, but I was the youngest over there, 19 years old, maybe, yeah. So the difference I felt was one 20-year-old is thinking, how should I get a job? Another 20-year-old is thinking, how should I build something which creates a lot of impact? Maybe that 20-year-old guy will be able to hire the engineering 20-year-old guy someday. So that's that's the difference I felt. There's two different point of views of a 20-year-old guy. Uh, then it was very fascinating because I was not exposed to a lot of startup worlds and stuff like that.
Hmm.
And you need to pitch to VCs, you need to build tech too. And it was quite a cool experience of entrepreneurship.
Hmm.
And then time passed. We got funded. We hired a lot of people. We are building a tech right now. We are a team of more than 20 people right now. 10 in tech and 10 in other domains. So then then came the season of hackathons. So see, I was not very active in hackathons. I did not take part in any hackathon in second year, maybe one or two, which was my first or second hackathon because I was in Pune, I was in Goa, I was not attending my college.
Hmm.
So you cannot expect a group or someone to take you into a hackathon or something. You don't have time to go to a hackathon when you work for a startup. So,
Right.
but I before getting into startup, I attended one hackathon where we failed very miserably, where we were not able we were not even able to build a login application. Like only the login का backend भी लिख नहीं पाए हम लोग. But we were figuring out something with Flask, I guess, and then PHP, MySQL, XAMPP, and whatnot. But uh, that got us exposure to hackathons. What is a hackathon? Like it was my first hackathon. Uh, then I never attended a hackathon in my second year. Then directly third year came in after 1 year, and that was the peak of hackathons, maybe in Feb, March. So the first hackathon came in. It was in my college itself. So many people came in, like all over Maharashtra. It was state level hackathon, I guess. So my college seniors, other college seniors. So it's everyone was there. Like it was a very cool first offline hackathon, to be honest. Every hackathon I attended, like the previous one I attended was the online hackathon. But this offline hackathon gave me a very full fire experience, to be honest, because everyone is coding around you, working on the same problem statement.
Hmm.
So that's where the journey of hackathon started, to be honest. Winning journey started. And we won that hackathon, the offline one which took place. Then the next day, there was another hackathon which was international level where teams from US, UK, Poland came in and participated in that international level hackathon. And we won that hackathon also. So it was like the dopamine level was at peak. Like you, if you win two hackathons in just 2 days ka gap, then crazy feeling, to be honest. We were on cloud nine, and that's when I posted. I started post like I used to post a lot on LinkedIn, like about MVPs, about startups, about how we got funding and stuff. But there was zero engagement. Like there was engagement, like 100 likes or 200 likes maybe. Then came the viral post of winning uh, winning two hackathons and three hackathons simultaneously in a row. So that's where I started posting on LinkedIn. Uh, then then another motivation of winning a hackathon became I will get some content to post on LinkedIn. That's why it's very important for me to win a hackathon. So at some point, it was like कि जीतना है कंटेंट पोस्ट करने के लिए एक टाइम ऐसा आ गया था कि जीतने के बाद कौन सा क्या कंटेंट डालना है क्या करना है सो आई वाज आल्सो रिकॉर्डिंग स्टफ बिफोर लाइक आई वाज गोइंग इनटू हैकाथन लाइक some kind of mini vlog. The confidence level was so high कि you start recording your winning journey and it really became a winning hackathon vlog kind of thing. But
Right.
yeah, so that's where the hackathon journey started. We went to a lot of hackathons. We got into Google Hackathon too, where more than 50,000 teams participated. Uh, and we were in top 50 out of it. And uh, we also went into a hackathon of TIA, which is a finance company, I guess, and we won that hackathon too. So variety of hackathons, call it national level, international level, company-based hackathon like Google TIA. So till then, so it was a like crazy streak of winning hackathons. Like winning 7 hackathons back to back was something which I
Mm.
never thought of. It just happened. I guess a lot of credit goes to the one 1 year of grind which I did in second year, which people don't realize was the when first thing was I was able to build real world products. That means the experience of building end-to-end applications for that. Second was understanding the requirement, how this is going to earn money, or how this is going to solve the problem. And third is pitching it to people was the best part. I enjoy pitching it because when you keep something very concise, short, and you're making someone understand your problem statement or your product in just 2 to 3 minutes is something very fascinating. I feel, and because it requires practice and talent, I guess, to pitch, to build products, and
Right.
understand how good you are solving the problem. And all those things helped me a lot. Not in just winning hackathon, but be it pitching or something.
Definitely.
So that was the uh, ऊपर ऊपर से journey of my hackathon.
Right.
So yeah.
This is a very inspiring journey till this point, because like you mentioned multiple points that are actually so inspiring that students might get actually motivated after hearing to it, right? Because in such a short span of time, the achievements that you have collected, right? Getting your own startup funded, the first round of funding, right? Other than that, winning 7 hackathons, consistently winning hackathons, right? Other than that, working for multiple startups, right? Meeting the investors, meeting the founders, right? Networking in the right way, and this is something that is the actual fruit of your college life that you have collected, right? Because this is the true sense of your college life. Well, fun is also important, but at the same time, students should focus upon the reality, which is this that you have been living, right? And actually, every single student can do this, but it takes only one single thing, that is efforts, right? 100% efforts are needed, and then you can also achieve the same kind of results, right? So yeah, this is a really inspiring journey till this point, and definitely these students will actually learn a lot from you, right? So in your role at God level, right? So you have been helping engineers to think like entrepreneurs, right? So what is the take on this? What is your take on this specifically? That what kind of a mindset should the students develop to adopt that entrepreneurial approach?
Hmm. So I'll share my journey itself. Where I so we engineers, software developers are good at building the products. But when it comes to selling the product, when it comes to get users, when it comes to get the first rupee out of the customer or sell your SaaS, it is very difficult. To be honest, building a product and selling and building distribution of a product is very two different things. And that's where the developer lacks the skill of building distribution or selling his whole
Right.
out or reaching out to his initial users.
Hmm.
So exactly, even if what's a business is, it's let's say if it's a SaaS business, it's a tech product. reaching out to multiple customers and they are paying for it. It basically it would be solving their time, saving their time as well as money, or solving a very important problem.
Right.
So a company exists of two things. One is one who builds it, one who sells it, and that's a startup
Right.
to be consulted. So what developers lack is the ability to sell the product, the ability to build the distribution out of the product. I've talked to more than 100 developers who have built more than like 100 senior developers who are in 30 or 40 age, where they have built a lot of products, side pet projects call it, but they are deployed also on App Store, on Play Store, and deployed Link Store. But no one is using it, and they didn't earn a rupee out of it. Although these are very good projects, can be turned into startups, and that's where the idea clicked in, right? Like engineers only build; they don't think of selling, how to get the users, because that's the very important thing.
Absolutely.
Until then, if no one is using your product, then it's a project. It's not a
Right.
product. Then. So even when I was running my startup, that's nicevibes.co, the first 2 months I focused was on building AI, building machine learning, deep learning, RAGs, and build whatnot. But when I went to pitch my product to companies, that's where the reality kicked in, right? No one is willing to buy your product. That's the first rejection. Then
Right.
you try, then you get your first customer out of your thing after pitching to so much. That's when I realized how difficult it is to earn money
Yeah. And
of the product you build.
definitely. And literally, this was something that I was discussing with one of my friends, I believe 3 days ago, right? And we were having this discussion itself that, tech is something using which you can actually build a product. But to actually make it a successful business, you need to have management, right? You need to have a management under you working for you, right? Where you have marketing, you have sales, right? You have the whole operations, which is all set up, right? And that's where you can just bring in money, because marketing is the only division in a company which brings in money, right? The rest, all other divisions in a company just burn money, right? And you are working together as a team, uh, apart from marketing वाला जो team है, to just minimize the burn that you are causing to the company, right? And creating the most optimal product out of it, so that the marketing team could actually bring in the maximum money that is possible, right? The marketing and the sales team specifically, right? So this is how fascinating the whole industry is, right? Because as an entrepreneur, you need to actually understand both the sides of it, even the product building side, that might be tech or non-tech, right? And also the management side of it, because without management the whole industry is also empty, and without tech also the whole industry is empty, right? Because there is a collaboration and the integration of both the things that is needed to make a successful product, right? And that's how it is. And honestly, I actually applaud you for giving this answer, because this is something that most of the people hesitate in talking about, right? All right. So many students wonder how to actually build a strong foundation in tech and entrepreneurship specifically, right? Because there is already a lot of content that is there on YouTube, right? When you search about a certain thing that you want to refer to. So what is your advice that you would give to the students, or someone who is actually starting out fresh?
Fresh in entrepreneurship as well as tech, right?
Right.
So I'll start off with the tech. Uh, no matter what trendy framework or let's say programming language or something fancy library or something comes up, whatever it is, it must be built using the fundamentals of a programming language. Behind every library framework, there's fundamentals of a program.
Hmm.
So I would suggest make your fundamentals very crystal clear, make it your concrete, make the base very stronger. Like go through hoops, go through the internal working of let's say if you're starting with Python. So Python does a lot of work for you. Like it literally gives you a lot of inbuilt functions which you need to understand what's behind it, what's the working of it. Let's say if it's a list, how to implement it without without the Python thing, how it's working internally, like in C. how the things are working behind the scenes. Let's say if you are using TensorFlow, what deep learning, what maths, what matrix, what are the things involved in behind it. So you need to understand it. Let's say if you are doing uh, using libraries of transformers, you need to understand behind the what is gradient descent, how are things working, what are the activation functions which are there. You should not be able to just use and import a library, but behind that library, how things are working is very important, very critical. Because will that's what makes you decide what needs to be done or what things needs to be used based on the requirement.
Right.
So to understand fundamentals of a programming language is very critical.
Hmm.
Start with basic concepts, get it thorough, and then you can move to advance whatever things you want to do, be it machine learning, be it web development, app development. But understand the crux of it, understand the basics, fundamentals, which is very important. I feel. Even in college, understand the theory of very good subjects like DBMS, computer networks, computer architectures, and personally, I enjoyed learning computer networks, computer architecture, and DBMS and operating system. These are the subjects which were there in second year. Although I did not attend college, but these are the subjects which I studied later on. Like not in college, but outside, like on YouTube, going into the YouTube videos and studying what's not.
Hmm.
So these are the things which helps a lot because uh, then you can figure out why this library is being used or how things are working behind. So all those things are very important. So in order to become a good developer, I feel the fundamentals on working behind should be known by you.
Definitely. So, how can a student actually leverage hackathons as a way to get hired? Because a lot of hirings in tech specifically happen through hackathons, right? So, like, even if a student lacks traditional experience, right? So, how can they get hired in a good company?
Yeah. So there are two things to it. Uh, it may be a company, it may be a startup company. Let's say companies are bigger companies like Google or Barclays, let's say, or Flipkart Hackathon, or these are the big companies. And one is the smaller companies which are not that big as these corporate companies. So one thing which is happening a lot is getting hired through hackathons, and I personally received a lot of placement opportunities, internships, job opportunity, and startup equity just by winning hackathons. And and the thing is, the uh, you should be able to demonstrate your skills or pitch or impress someone, let's say a startup founder, in your pitch basically. So that's where the uh, interest of founder hiring you sparks in, right? So you are, let's say you are a startup founder and you are building something, a tech platform, let's say, and someone who is pitching you how we built the same edtech platform and the problem you're solving in just 24 hours, and he also has a business model ready and ton of other features which are not there in real life of your product startup. So that sparks the interest of a founder hiring you straight away from it, right? Because he needs people to build, and you are someone who has just built the solution in just 24 hours. Even though you prototyped it or just ideated or built it from scratch, let's say, but that's the important skill, right? You are solving a problem, you are building something in just 24 hours. That brings your credibility कि भाई इसने 24 hours में कर लिया तो क्या ही कर सकता, क्या नहीं कर सकता.
Hmm.
So this is how startup founders think, and that's where the uh, thought of hiring comes in. And a lot of startups, lot of companies are hiring. That's why big companies are even hiring through hackathons, right? JP Morgan, they only do the first, now the only way to get hired in JP Morgan, I guess, is to participate in the hackathon for good, and then the normal process starts. So a lot of companies are shifting towards hackathon based hiring, and I feel the trend is going to change because any day a real world problem solver is much more credible than someone who does uh, normal lead code problems or something which is not real in
Right.
case. So the trend is shifting, and in startups, majority in early stage startups, so you don't need someone who does lead code, but you need someone who does uh, real world, who solves real world problems. But the case is inverted in case of big companies or FANG or whatever, that these people need someone who does lead code and not real world problems.
Right. So you have already developed your own products, from scratch and secured funding for the startup, right? So what tips can you actually give to the students on how to pitch and gain the investor support, right? So there might be a right way of pitching even to the investor, right? So what have you observed while attending such sessions, right? And any tips for the students?
Yeah. So while pitching, I feel what I do in my pitches, I make the pitch very short and concise. I don't, let's say if you're solving, let's say if I'm building God level, which is hiring students or developers through hackathons, I won't be telling all the other things involved in my idea. Like we also do entrepreneurship, we also do this and that. I would try to start with my two-line sentence. We are building a place where people get hired through hackathons, and then give a example how things are working. Let's say you are a startup, you come to us with a problem, we organize a hackathon, and you hire the top developers out. So start with a two-line sentence, which makes it clear, and then back it with an example so that it completely gets cleared. And then talk talk about your team. Who all are there in your team, let's say, and what are your achievements of your team till now? Let's say if someone is a pro coder or something like that who has been built a lot of startups earlier, who have raised funding or something like that. So talk about your team. Then till now, what did you do? So till now, what are your achievements? What's the traction? What are the things you built? Then market insights. Then comes competitor analysis. How different are you from other people? So all those things comes in a startup pitch.
Hmm.
What's your TAM? What's your Samsung?
Right.
Everything. I guess you can see Y Combinator's YouTube videos that are very helpful, to be honest. And these are like, these not only apply in startups, but whenever you communicate with someone or anything, you have to be short and concise. If you can't
Right.
explain it clearly, basically you don't understand it. So
Right. Right. Right.
that's very important of explaining. So whatever your thought process is, if you are not able to communicate it to the front person, then it's not worth it. Then
Right.
your knowledge, be it in an interview itself. If you know everything about tech, but you suck at explaining how the things are working to someone, but everything in your brain is sorted. But that's of no use. If you are not able to represent yourself or communicate it better, then it's very difficult.
Right. And it's not specific to the startups itself. It is not even specific to like any kind of a gathering or something, but it is also more relevant to the interviews, because not everyone is meant to build a business, right? Because
Correct.
not everyone can actually handle that much pressure, right? So if you are actually going for some interview, right, so then also you need to actually know how to pitch yourself, right? Because you are there representing yourself, your skills and your communication is justifying every single thing, right? So you need to know how to actually create the best impact in the first few lines when you start describing yourself, right? And that's how it works. So like, what strategies would you recommend to the students to make the most out of a hackathon, right? Especially when you're working under the tight deadlines.
So how to make most out of a hackathon is, let's talk about the most part. If you don't win a hackathon, so first thing is have a project under your belt, one more project which is real world under your belt, and then you also get to know about the problem statement. How, let's say if it's a startup hackathon where or a company based hackathon, let's say all these big companies are doing the hackathon by sharing the problem statement. You understand what requirement is, why are these people stressing on this particular problem statement, how is this going to make their business grow or make them profitable. So you understand the requirement of real world problem which you are going to solve.
Right.
Then you also in a hackathon there's a 99% of chance we lose that hackathon. Because out of 100 teams, out of 200 teams, only one team wins the hackathon. So there's like 1% of chance of winning a hackathon. But what if you lose the hackathon? The first thing is, let's say, even if you lose the hackathon or lose a job interview or whatever happens, so what you should do is first analyze what went wrong.
Hmm.
And you should be able to understand कि अच्छा this particular aspect was not good, or let's say this was not good, or our day was not good. कुछ भी हो सकता है. You need to work on it. Let's say for example, in one of our hackathon, our pitch was not that good. We were not able to complete the whole product in just 5 minutes. So in the next one, we realized how important the time is. So we started putting the priority features in top and understand how good, how important the pitching is. So
Hmm.
that's where the learning from mistakes comes up, even in, let's say, job interview, even if hackathons or startup pitch. So another thing is how to make most out of the hackathon is try connecting with the founders or judges or mentors which were there in a hackathon that builds your network. And I've seen a lot of people who did not win a hackathon but got several offers from startup founders, or uh, just got internship or job placement just by winning just not by just winning hackathon. They were just participants, but the ability to pitch, the ability to build a product impressed a lot of people, and that's where the process came in. So it's not always about winning the hackathon, it's all about how you pitch it, how you represent yourself, how you build things. So these are very important rather than just looking at winning a hackathon. And like hackathons are very often, if you don't win a hackathon you can just move on to next one and try harder for the next one, and surely you'll be able to win one hackathon.
Hmm. And the thing is that like you already mentioned that students are getting hired through the hackathons itself, right? But the thing is that not only from the winning team, right? But the students who are already participating in the hackathons who have not won the competition but who performed well are even getting hired, right? So, what are the key qualities that the companies are looking for in these participants?
First is your ability to solve a problem. Second is your ability to pitch. Then how good you are building the product, how innovative features which you are thinking, but the founder did not think. Like if the founder has an idea and you just have implemented it. So
Right.
all those things which sets you apart from other people is very important.
Hmm.
And yeah, because you just have 4 to 5 minutes to pitch your product, and
Right.
that's where you impress a lot of people. So your pitching ability, your building product ability, your innovative features, what
Hmm.
impressive tech or features or problem you're solving which they haven't figured out, or how uniquely you're solving the problem.
Right.
That's very important. And these are the things which sets you apart. So yeah, focus on all these things.
Understood. Right. So you have already worked upon the cutting edge techs, right? Already built multiple projects of your own, right? So you already have a little bit idea about the future perspective of the tech, right? That where is the industry moving towards? Like what is the industry moving towards, right? So how can these students who are currently getting enrolled in a specific course, for example, BTech CSC, right? So if I am enrolling in the first year, for me the market will change after 4 years. That too at a very drastic rate, right? And जैसा आज है वैसा नहीं होगा for sure. 4 साल बाद बहुत अलग होगा, right? So how to actually judge that particular trend and get an overview about it, and also how to prepare for that trend.
Yeah. So I will share something very interesting, which not everyone will like or understand, but I feel it's very important. So let's say uh, in early years when media means it covers social media, it covers TV, entertainment, infotainment media. So when media was not there, these newspaper companies, the content, the writing paper companies were doing very good.
Right.
Then the media came in, the media boom came in. So everyone became a creator, right? Everyone was a writer, everyone was pushing things, writing things. So then the number of content, like the level of content was well increasing. Like there was a lot of content available. It was not only newspapers. There are multiple mediums of reading a content out or consuming a content. So That's where quality content became very valuable.
Right.
That means if there's a newspaper who pushes in a lot of quality content, then that newspaper will be only sustaining. Rest
Right.
everyone got shut down because everyone is now a content writer, right? Everyone is writing something because they have access to it. It's free. It just take 1 minute to post something online. So the analogy is similar in software industry. Now, with the help of LLMs, even a 10th standard student can learn how to write simple Python programs in barely 2 days.
Hmm.
Where where you will be, I feel, you can learn everything just in 1 month and be job ready or placement ready, or what average engineer skill set are in just 1 or 2 months with the help of LLMs and what are the things and content available.
Hmm.
So the only developers will sustain who are quality developers who not only know simple things but build complex things and the distribution part. So
Right.
that's also very important.
Right.
And the only media houses which sustained was who had a very good distribution. So all these independent writers did not have their own distribution.
Hmm.
So that's where they lacked. But these good content creator houses had their whole distribution set.
Right.
So in software also, let's say all these companies like Infosys, TCS, they are providing building software for US clients and stuff, right? So if building software becomes very cheap, like everyone is building it, even a 10 standard you can build a website similar to TCS kind of website, then the number of developers have increased, but the quality developers are not there. And that's where the point of view of quality engineering comes in. कि तो सब बना रहे हैं लेकिन क्वालिटी सस्टेनेबल टेक जो कुछ ही लोग बना सकते हैं and those who have distribution will be sustaining it. So that's a very big time frame I'm talking about. That's like it will take years to happen, and this is a very large time frame point of view. Not everyone would be liking this point of view, but this is what I feel. कि जब कोई
This is very honestly. This is the reality. They agree to it, they don't agree to it, but this is the reality. They need to face it someday, for sure.
correct.
Yeah.
If this is what I feel, you should be able to excel software engineering, like not only do the basic things and build a website, build an app, and that's it. The software engineering is vast, man. It's not only web development, app development, and DSA. It's much more behind it. So try, after doing all these things, try getting into that and build distribution as a software engineer. Try to build your own product. Get even 5 users are using the product. That's a big achievement, I think. So try building distribution and yeah, keep building skills, keep building products, and keep getting users. That's what I feel is very important.
Definitely. And in India specifically, this is already a very big problem that we have workforce, but we don't have skilled workforce in that context. Because India में jobs बहुत है, but the relevant people who can actually fill in those jobs are very less. But the number of people who are applying for the job is very high. Right, and this has been the case consistently, like prevailing since past multiple years. Right, people are protesting. People are actually, just saying that we don't have jobs. But are you really skilled for that particular job? Just mention that. कितने developers ऐसे जिनको सच्ची में development आता है? That's the sole question कि कितने developers ऐसे हैं जिनको की grip है, जो languages है उस पर grip है, नहीं है. Like the number is very less, and जिनके पास है, they are already working in good companies, right? They're not struggling, right? And people don't accept it. Right, they'll just, because blaming is something that is very easy to do, right? Blaming तो हर कोई कर सकता है, मैं भी blame कर सकता हूँ किसी और चीज को लेकर के, मेरी लाइफ में कुछ नहीं हुआ, मैंने किसी तीसरे को blame कर दिया इसकी वजह से नहीं. But when are you actually trying to solve the problem for yourself by lying to yourself, right? The whole thing is कि खुद को झूठ नहीं बोलना है, right? But 90% of the people are lying to themselves इस चीज को लेकर के, है ना? मतलब they are not upskilled, but they are still lying to themselves कि ठीक है मेरे पास skill set है, मैं कर लूँ. Right, but the company is actually paying you for something, right? So why would they spend money where they won't get the work out of it, right? They are paying you to get the work done, right? So why would I pay anyone who won't do the work that I'm allocating them, right? So It has no context, right? Now, let's move to the last component of this podcast because you have already answered the questions in such a way that it is already a gem. This podcast is already a gem, and like there are thousands of takeaways that students can actually have. Like literally, experience talks a lot, right? You are already in your fourth year, but the way you answered the questions, it doesn't resemble to your fourth year, honestly, because it actually the answers came from your experience that you have collected since past multiple years of working, right? So what's the most valuable piece of advice that you have received in your career from many of your mentors or any person whom you admire, right? And how has it actually impacted your journey till this point?
Like, uh, there's no secret advice, secret mantra or something very khatarnak where which will help you grow or something. The only thing is you need to keep grinding, keep moving ahead, and even if you don't feel like uh, working or you are very unmotivated to do the work and still you do it, that's the real motivation, I feel. So the only thing is you should keep going ahead. Even if you fail, you should take a pause, but you should not stop. You should go ahead, keep building, keep working hard. There's two quotes I feel. One is uh, the, the work which you do even when you feel unmotivated is the real motivation. And the second is the uh, second one I forgot. But these are the things I feel. There's no secret thing or secret advice which no one will do. Like a lot of people also ask me secret sauce क्या है, मंत्र क्या है, रोड मैप क्या है, आपने कैसे किया?
Right, right.
वो सब कुछ नहीं होता है. बस you, everything is hard work and आप लगे होंगे तो वो हार्ड वर्क लक के साथ मिलके सक्सेस हो जाता है. बस इतना ही है. तो keep hustling a lot. एकदम मेहनत करो, एकदम बड़े लक लगा कर किसी दिन तो सही है. बिल्ड करते जाओ.
Right.
It's like hitting a lot of tiles in your room. तो एक पे लग गया तो जाता है.
Definitely, definitely.
So that's it.
And that's where hard work and consistency combine to give it the result, right? Consistent efforts are needed. Anything that you do, you just need to be consistent. आज नहीं, साल भर के अंदर, 1.5 साल के अंदर, 2 साल के अंदर, you'll get the results. Right? Just be consistent. Don't lie to yourself. Work hard. Work very hard. Right? Because if you are dreaming for something that is exceptional, then do exceptional hard work as well. Right? Because mediocre hard work won't get you exceptional results. Right? Because that's not how it happens. Right? Every exceptional things need exceptional hard work. Right. So let's just end the podcast at this positive note. Right. You have already contributed a lot. I'm really thankful for the contribution that you have given to the podcast and the time you have invested to the podcast as well. Right. This has been an interesting and a very inspiring story and the journey to hear about. Right. And definitely many students would have gained a lot of insights from this podcast. जिन बच्चों ने भी अभी तक ये podcast सुना है, right? So I hope you have actually noted down the points that are relevant because there is a lot to note down, honestly, right? And anything that you would like to say at the end, then we can just conclude the podcast.
Uh, a very important tip for software engineers would be like understand what you're doing, what's the requirement, keep building stuff, get an internship, get into a startups, explore a lot of things. Don't just be limited to software engineering. Travel a lot and think of different point of view. Not only set your one point of view related to anything. So try exploring a lot of things. That's and one big advice I would give is travel a lot. It changes your point of view. It changes your perception. And for an engineer, I feel. Try exploring other things too, which gives you a different point of view. Like when I was working on a startup, I used to do operations stuff. I used to handle. I used to do finance. I used to do everything like apart from tech. So tech was also there, but the exposure is very important. Exposure to other things apart from software industry. There's a whole world out of it, right? Don't just get stuck into it. Another thing I feel is don't write a single line of code if you don't have a customer or a first user ready. If you're building something, so that's a very एडवाइस है इसे कि सामने वाला यूज करने वाले जब रेडी ना हो तो एक लाइन का कोड भी ना लिखो दैट्स जस्ट अ वेट ऑफ वेस्ट ऑफ टाइम सो whatever you're doing if you're working for a startup if you're building stuff it should save only good keep these two things in mind it should save time and of course it should save money और तभी जाके someone would pay for it and yeah that's it that's from my that's it.
Understood. And it has been a really great experience talking to you as well. Right, you're a very great personality overall because this kind of experience, this kind of maturity is, very scarce in this country, honestly. Right, and this has been a really great experience for me as well. Communicating to such a person is a really great experience, honestly. Right, just maintain this personality. Right, you'll do great in future as well, definitely, because you have been doing great in present and in past. Right, so definitely your future is bright and never let this personality down. Right, always keep learning, keep growing. Right, and thank you people, thank you for watching, and thank you sir, thank you for contributing so much to the podcast. Right, and we look forward to recording more and more podcasts with you if needed in future. Right, so we'll be in touch, and thank you people, bye bye, just take care of yourself.